This is a Disaster Debaters special presentation of Darkness Debaters with Mandy and Brandy.
All right. Welcome, everybody, to Darkness Debaters with Mandy and my beautiful cousin, Brandy.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. We're still figuring introductions out and how to introduce ourselves.
Okay.
Our very first case we want to bring you guys is called The Girl in the Green Truck. You want to just dive right into this?
Yeah. It's a...
I've got my notes, so I have to read from my notes because my memory is not what it used to be.
It's an interesting case that I wasn't aware of before, and I think a lot more people should really know about this case because I really feel like there's somebody out there that knows something, and now's the time to come forward and let's get closure for this family.
Absolutely. What is it? Has it been, it's been 36 years?
35. Yeah, 35.
Is that right?
91.
35 years.
Yes. And yes, it's time.
91, right.
Mm-hmm. It's time that somebody comes
I
forward
absolutely
with what they know. Mm-hmm.
Believe. Yeah, somebody knows something out there. They're just not talking. So we'll get right into this. We'll give you some background.
Yes.
On February 9th in 1971 in Kansas City, Missouri, Chris and Marcia welcomed a happy, healthy baby girl into the world named Angela. Everyone close to her called her by her nickname, Angie, and they remember her as being intelligent, sweet, and full of life. She had a smile and a personality that lit up every room she entered. In 1975, when Angie was 4 years old, the young family moved about 4 hours away to Clinton, Missouri. It's a small community, like a farming type community, where you know all your neighbors. Everyone knew everyone. Kids grew up knowing everyone in their school, and lifelong friendships and bonds were made here. She became a big sister to a happy baby brother, and everyone recalls how excited she was to become a big sister. Angie's parents divorced just over a year after her baby brother was born, but they maintained stability and civility for Angie and her brother. They wanted to make sure that the kids had a healthy and supportive environment growing up. Angie did normal teenage activities like driving around town. You know how you had the strip in town and you would drive up and down the strip. You'd put 200 or 300 miles on your car on a Saturday night, never going anywhere. That's pretty much her and her friends. That's what they did. They drove that one strip 200 or 300 miles a night. And it's like a quarter-mile long strip from what they described it as.
And can I add something here?
Sometimes some back road drinking was going on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can I add something? It was said that Angie drove a Mustang.
Yes.
So that was, for a young girl in a small town, that was a big thing. And I'm sure everybody wanted to ride around with Angie.
That's hot.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. And that Mustang was something. Mustangs make you feel a certain way when you get into them. You kind of get that,
You
driving
need
a
for
Mustang.
speed.
So I'm sure that was, oh, yeah. And that was probably great for teenage girls. Her and her best friend that was always with her. They were attached at the hip.
Yes.
And I'm sure when they drove around, they're talking about, he's cute. I don't like her. I do like her. She's all right. High school drama, the normal, what we all grew up with. We all grew up like that.
Mm-hmm.
And they probably they just sat and solved the world's problems. If people would have just listened to them, the world's problems could have been solved. You know how it is when we're teenagers, especially with that first car. We could solve anything. And just dreaming about what their future was going to be. Angie started dating Rob Schaefer in November of 1990 when she was 19 years old, right before her 20th birthday. And in January they got engaged. Young love is fast love. It happens fast. And when you know, you know. And
And being
this young couple, very in love, then announced that they were
yeah.
expecting their first baby.
We have to remember too, they were from a small town. They probably knew each other for years before. And so,
Right.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. It sounds kind of weird if you're from a bigger town to meet somebody and get engaged that fast. But yeah, in a small town, she's known him for 18 years already, so,
Yeah.
or close to it. So he wasn't a stranger or anything like that. He was probably in the friend group,
Mhm.
and they grew up together and just knew each other. He was really handsome. He was an athlete. He had plans on going to the military. So, what's not for a young girl, especially in a small town, to be like, hey, come over here. Let me talk to you.
Yeah.
When they found out they were pregnant, they were both so excited. They were super excited. Yay, we're going to be parents, and it was like this whole future was open to them. The world was so bright. They were ready to get started. Angie was renting a trailer, a little trailer house. Rob was still living at home at that point, but I think there were plans for him to move in. I think it's been reported a few times that he was actually living there, but her best friend has refuted that and said, no, she was renting the trailer. He was not actually living there yet, but he did stay there.
Yeah. He was still in high school.
So life is, yeah, he was. And, I mean, they're expecting their first baby. They're excited. Their life is about to start. I mean, we all remember what that's like. Our first love, and we're fixing to start a family, and we got a house. Life was bright and beautiful. The future was bright and beautiful. And all of that changed in the blink of an eye with a green pickup, a dirty bearded man, and a phone call that ended in a scream on April 4th of 1991. What happened?
Okay. All right. Okay, so here we go. April 4th, 1991, it was a Thursday. The weather was warm. You're talking about the Midwest, so it was a warm spring day that day. Angie had taken a break from taking classes at Central Missouri State University and taken a break from her night job at a local bank. She had her best friend who was coming in town to visit, and she was really excited. So Angie and Rob and her friend decided to drive to the next town over, where Angie's mom, Marcia Cook, lived. And they spent the afternoon attending a barbecue in the next town over. Angie, being 4 months pregnant at the time, she was the designated driver. So she was there with her mom and Rob and some friends and her best friend. They ended up leaving the cookout about 9 p.m. that night. She told her mom that her and her friend were going to go quote unquote goof around, which meant just, cruising around in her Mustang. So,
Yeah, driving that same strip of 200 or 300 miles worth.
Yeah. So she sat back on the little trip back over to Clinton, Missouri. She had Rob and her friend with her. They ended up dropping Rob off at his mom's house so he could watch his little sibling that night so his mom could go to work. They ended up dropping him off about 10 p.m. and then they proceeded to go cruise the strip, goof around. She had told Rob that she would either call him that night or see him again later on that night. She ended up dropping her friend off at about 11:15 p.m. By that time, it was a late night. She was tired. She was 4 months pregnant. She
Mhm.
she was tired. She was ready to go home. So she
Yeah.
made her way to the center of town, which ended up this grocery store parking lot where the payphones were. She didn't have a landline at her trailer, which
Yeah.
was
They were expensive back then
yeah.
in the early 90s.
Mhm,
I mean,
and it
payphones were just common.
yeah, it was just back then they were just a quarter, and even if you called local, it was just a quarter, and you could
Right.
just talk as long as you wanted.
Right.
So this payphone was
I
about
had heard stories that they used her mom's calling card a lot at that payphone, and they would get in
yeah,
trouble and get the calling card taken away from them, her and her best friend. So
yeah,
it was this was a normal activity. It wasn't something out of the ordinary that she's using a payphone for, a weird reason.
yes. So she called Rob about it was after she dropped her friend off at 11:15. She called him and told him, she was tired. She was just ready to go home and take a bubble bath and get settled down and go to sleep that night. While she was on the phone with him, she noticed a two-tone older model, late 60s, early 70s, two-tone green Ford truck circling back and forth around where she was at the payphone. She thought it was kind of strange. She was coming and going. And she mentioned this to Rob
Yeah.
while on the phone. And she sounded kind of
And they were
scared.
only like 7 blocks
7.
from his house, right?
Yes. And
Yeah, the phone was like only 7 blocks from his house.
yeah. So the guy pulls up in the truck. There's 2 payphones there. He pulls up in the truck and he gets out to use the payphone next to where Angie's using the payphone talking to Rob. And she mentions that he's scruffy, dirty looking, has a beard, glasses. I think it was mentioned he was wearing overalls. And she thought it was kind of weird because he went up to use the payphone, but he didn't really talk. And then he put the phone down and went back to his truck. He was rummaging around in his truck with a flashlight.
That is weird.
And Angie mentioned all this to Rob, and Rob was like, well, maybe he needs to use the phone. And he told her, ask him, do you need to use the phone? And she did. And he said, no, not right now. So they go along conversing still. And then next thing you know, Rob hears her scream. And the phone slams, like somebody slammed the phone down, dropped it. And then nothing. It ended with a scream. He's very concerned. So he hops into his truck. It's 7 blocks, like we said, and rushes to see if he can find out what the heck's going on up there. In the rush, he is driving like a madman, going to find out what's going on with his fiance and unborn baby. He passes a truck on the way. He passes a truck. And when it passes, he had the window down and he hears Angie scream, Robbie, out the truck. So he knew that was the truck. He throws his truck into reverse. Probably doesn't really stop like you're supposed to. He kind of just whips it around and throws it in reverse and turns around to follow this truck. In the course of doing that, he must have damaged his transmission. It went for a little ways, but then the truck started to die out. And
I think they said a mile.
Yes. He noticed that the truck did up ahead, as it was dying out, did make a turn onto a dirt road up ahead. He saw the brake lights and he saw the truck turn. And that was the last that he saw of the truck and Angie that night.
Yeah. The truck, Angie, nothing has ever been found.
No.
Rob was a suspect for a while. He was ruled out, I think, within the first week.
Yes.
Because, of course, when he said, well, when I threw it in reverse, it damaged my transmission, it stopped. At first the cops were kind of like, but
Yeah.
did it? But I mean, when they examined his truck, yeah, his transmission was fried. Those trucks, they still are, but especially back then, they were really sensitive to that. So you made a complete stop before you put it in reverse. But with him being scared and I've got to go save her, you're not thinking, okay, put it in park, then put it in reverse, and then do things tenderly. You're just trying to get where you're going.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And I mean, really, he was what, like 18 years old. He was still in high school. He's still a kid.
He's still a kid.
I mean,
yes.
honestly, I mean, legally he was grown, but he's still a kid. And like we were talking about earlier, that this is, I mean, in a blink, he went from everything's perfect to go save her. So I've thought so much what that must have been like for him sitting in that truck with his truck slowing down, because when your transmission goes out, the engine is revving, but the vehicle is slowing down.
Yeah.
So what that must have been like for him to have the gas pedal. Yeah, the gas pedal is on the floor and the engine's revving for everything it has, but it's slowing down and he's just watching them drive away and there's nothing he can do about it. What a helpless, horrible feeling that is. And I think somebody out there knows exactly what happened to Angie.
Especially,
they know where that truck is at.
The
they know where she is at.
Was pretty specific. It was an older model Ford, like we said, late 60s, early 70s, two-tone green. It had a decal on the back that depicted a like a bass fish jumping out of the water. So that's pretty specific. Not a lot of trucks have that in the back window.
It is very specific.
Yeah. And there ended up being later on some witnesses that described a scruffy man circling around in that description of a truck later on. They came forward later on, but there were other witnesses who described that truck as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like you said, I feel like
it's such a sad case because there's somebody knows exactly what happened, and I can't imagine what it must be like for her family, because there's, I mean, you think in your head, okay, she's probably gone. She is probably dead. But you don't have a body to bury. It's not confirmed. So how do you, as her mom, her brother, her cousins, her best friend, how do you just say, okay, yeah, she's dead? Even Rob, you hang on to that hope that she's going to walk up the driveway one day. Right. Right. So I can't imagine what it's like to lose a child to begin with. But to lose a child, literally lose one, you don't know where are they. I mean, I can't imagine a worse kind of hell than having to live like that.
And we're talking really about, two victims here. She was 4 months pregnant, the Rob's unborn baby. I mean, I'm sure that probably haunts him to this very day.
Right. Oh, absolutely. I'm going to try to get these on the screen, but I'm still learning all this technology. So I'm going to bring it up here. This is Angie. The picture, if you're looking at this one was her then, and the other picture is an age progressed photo of what she might look like. Somebody out there, somebody watching this has seen this story 100 times. And holding on to guilt because you know, you for and somebody out there knows something. You know where she's at. You know who did it. Even if the person that did it has already passed away, this family, Rob, the people that had been left, because like you said, there were 2 victims, and really there's more than that. I mean, this person didn't just take her. He took the future. He took hope. He took security, safety. I mean, this is a little town. Stuff like this don't happen there. And he took all that from everybody that lives there and all the people closest to her that loved her. He took everything from them. And we need to know who did it. And there are theories. There were other cases of similar crimes, which I'm sure we're going to be bringing you those too, and try to see if we can tie them together. But yeah, this is just it's heartbreaking. I saw this way back when it aired the first time on Unsolved Mysteries back in the 90s when it was still a fresh case and there was still a lot of hope that maybe they would find her. And you know, I'm in 1991 I was 9 years old and I'm now 44. I just turned 44. Sorry, it takes me a minute to remember my age. I'm now 44 years old. She's about 10 years older than me. You know, she should be somewhere happy with Rob. They would, you know, probably have grandkids by now. I mean, that's how life should have gone. And it didn't. And somebody needs to answer for that.
Yes. You're right. You're absolutely right. Yeah. And somebody out there,
So
they've seen that truck back then. They know who drove it, who rode around in it. They know. And now's the time.
Oh yeah.
To come forward.
Yeah. And you know, I saw where one of the articles that I read while researching all this, you know, the cops asked people that owned property around there for them to look on their property and see if they found anything. And I can't get it out, which of course I'm not claiming to be psychic or like anything like that. Like I just know what's happening, but I just can't get it out of my head that what if somebody did find that truck and they just didn't say anything because they don't want to be part of it. They don't want the cops on their place. You know, they don't want to be implicated, even though they had nothing to do with it. I hope that's not the case. I hope in a community that small that they would have done everything they could for her. But if you happen to be watching this and that was you, we get it, but it's time.
Yeah.
It's time
you
now.
know,
And
they
you know,
may have
we get
known.
it.
Yeah, they may have known who it was. Maybe they're afraid of the person, but it's been over 30 years. And yes. And hopefully that's passed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully so. But moving on from Angela's case, not really moving on, but just to talk about something else real quick. Darkness Debaters, we're going to try to go once a month for right now. We're going to see how it goes, and we're going to get all of this technology working right. And we're going to try to get together in person and bring you some shows in person as well. So, yeah, thank you so much for being here with me today, virtually.
Yes. I'd love to.
I enjoyed it.
To get the audience in on our discussions. Maybe they want us to research some cases or talk about some cases that maybe don't have a lot of airtime in other places. Like Angie's case, I feel like, you know, this was the first time I've heard about her. You
Absolutely.
know, we'd like to talk about those cases that maybe not everybody else is talking about, and kind of bring light to that. That's why they call us
Yep.
the darkness debaters. We want to bring the things out of
Right.
the dark
If
and bring
anybody,
light. Yes.
yeah,
Yeah. So, yeah, if
absolutely.
anybody has any
Yeah.
suggestions,
If anybody's, hmm
yeah.
or if you, especially if you're personally tied to one, if you want attention for it, if you want people to know what happened,
Mhm.
reach out to us.
Yes.
Reach out and let's get it going. I'm sure we'll cover cases that people do know about. I I hope that we cover a lot of cases that need to be covered, that people need to see, and
Mhm.
hopefully there will be people come forward because they remember something. The smallest little memory that you think probably doesn't really mean anything can be huge.
Yes. It just might be the detail that breaks it wide open. Yes.
Absolutely. And if you know
So
something about Angie's case, you can call the Clinton Police Department in Missouri at 1-660-885-8679, and that will also be in the description of the video. Call them and tell them what you know. I'm sure they would allow people to be anonymous.
exactly, yes. Let's bring Angie home, however that may look like. Let's bring her home.
Right. Let's give everybody that loved her or that still loves her the closure that they deserve.